Thousands of languages worldwide are absent from internet content, and there are no tools for creating or translating information into these excluded languages. Huge sections of the world's population are thus prevented from enjoying the benefits of technological advances and obtaining information essential to their well-being and development.
For us, it's intuitive to type in www.bbc.co.uk. But for anyone who doesn't speak English or doesn't use the Roman character set, that would be completely unintuitive. So if you think about it, the internet currently operates in a way that is really unintuitive for the vast majority of people in the world.
This paper is BBC Urdu, but then this paper is based in Pakistan, and unfortunately they don't have since they don't have any HTML editor, web editor available, so they are using these as a JPEG images. They have placed these JPEG images, and I cannot copy it. If I want to copy this text from here, I cannot do it. The URL is in English. It's express.com.pk.
Want to empower people to have top-level domains in their languages, in their cultural context, that lets them both have domain names and email addresses and what have you in their eventually email addresses in their own characters, but probably more importantly allows people to come together around community. Just as we've got in ASCII.museum for the community around museums, then we may well have something in Hindi or in Tamil or in Bahasa Indonesian, or that is actually in their own set of characters that actually helps them express their own community.
We've created a location, idn.icann.org, where you may select from any of the scripts, and you may register in your script so that you can leave comments about your experience of browsing example.test. For example, if you have a simplified Chinese keyboard and you type in example.test in Internet Explorer, you may find that what you see is not the Chinese rendering of example.test, but a very long string of high ASCII characters, including squares and underscores and this kind of thing. That's because some browsers have fully implemented IDN capability in their browsers, and others are still working on it.
It is just much more complicated than using simple ASCII, because you are talking about the question is not the domain names. That's bad enough. The question is that there are applications and software written over the last 35 years on top of this that create the thing that people call the internet, and that's all written mostly in ASCII or in Roman characters. If I can just give you a small illustrations. My understanding is the Tamil community, which is distributed clearly in South India, but then in places like Malaysia, Canada, Fiji, other. My understanding is they have not fully finished writing down the language, at least not according to some of them. Now, people in Tamil Nadu may not think that's true, but people in Fiji, I understand, do think that's true. There is clearly issues in some of the Indian languages of quite literally things that, to my eye, look exactly the same, but to them they say, no, this is clearly different to this. And yet, if you were to draw them, they're absolutely the same, right? And then now think about this as a poor computer. The poor computer's going to go, I can only go one place. right? And yet, nevertheless, if you understand the context and you're a native speaker, this exactly identical character means something quite different to this exactly identical character.
It is irresponsible to introduce these large character sets without doing so in a way to minimize or reduce the potential for confusion. As much as we would like to think that the internet is made up of friendly people, we've learned that the general population of the world contains people who are not necessarily friendly, and they will do things to confuse others deliberately. So part of the work in standardizing the characters that are permitted in domain names is intended to reduce the likelihood of confusion by users who will be could be misled to the wrong sites on the network.
We have to figure out what it is we want to do. And some of that is balancing culture against uniformity and interchangeability. To create a universal language, to standardize orthographies, is a very, very dangerous thing if one is trying to preserve cultural diversity and cultural integrity. It may improve communications, but because semantics may be attached to these things and differences in subtle meaning, we may lose information and lose culture as we do those things. And it's a balance which really has nothing to do with the